In this isolated mountain kingdom, whoever shouts the loudest is very often treated as the most capable leader. Authority here is defined by the ability to command a room with a booming voice. This creates a sharp divide between the two princesses. Princess Teresa is the presumed heir because her loud rhetoric dominates every council meeting. Meanwhile, her sister Hannah remains completely silent, a trait the court interprets as a political failure. This structural diagram reveals the kingdom's central problem. The ornate upper block represents the constant noise of palace politics. While it looks impressive, the foundation, the kingdom's actual stability, is cracking under the weight of those empty words. Hannah's exclusion from the shouting matches gives her an advantage. Without the distraction of the palace noise, she can detect subtle distress signals from the environment and the people that the politicians have ignored for years. A political system that focuses entirely on its own volume will eventually become blind to its own collapse. Someone must stand outside that noise to see what is actually happening. To find the source of these distress signals, Hannah travels away from the palace and deep into the mountain forest. She finds the root peeper, an ancient tree that serves as a ledger for the kingdom's true condition. Because it is disconnected from human politics, its record of the state's decay is impossible to manipulate. The root keeper provides Hannah with specific investigative tools, a lantern that illuminates hidden facts, and 3 color-coded leaves, red, green, and yellow. These leaves act as diagnostic markers for the 3 specific diseases rotting the kingdom: pride, greed, and fear. Hannah now has the means to identify the specific behaviors that keep the state's failures out of sight. To address this decay, she must first force these private vices into the harsh light of public scrutiny. Hannah begins her audit in the royal council chamber, where the military leader, Sir Lancelot, is demanding an immediate declaration of war. Lancelot presents this preemptive strike as a matter of survival, telling the council that any delay will lead to the kingdom's total destruction. Hannah uses the red leaf, which has a specific mechanical effect. It overrides Lancelot's rehearsed script and forces him to speak his actual motivations. Suddenly, Lancelot admits he wants this war to increase his personal influence and secure his legacy. He acknowledges that he has been ignoring the risks to civilians to achieve his own goals. This shows how military pride can manufacture a crisis to justify its own growth. Loud declarations of patriotism are often used to hide a leader's personal ambition. Next, Hannah follows a scent of expensive spices into a crumbling district. She finds herself in an abandoned theater that is falling apart on the outside. Inside, the royal staff are embezzling public food rations. They are using resources meant for the starving population to host lavish, secret banquets for the kingdom's elite. When Hannah activates the green leaf, the architecture of the theater physically collapses. The secret banquet is suddenly exposed to the entire street. For the first time, the starving public can see exactly how the elite have been hoarding the kingdom's resources for themselves. Economic greed depends on secrecy and physical distance. Transparency is the most effective way to dismantle an unfair distribution of wealth. Hannah returns to the palace to confront the queen and her advisors. The queen has created a culture where disagreement is punished. Any advisor who reports a problem or offers a critique is fired and replaced with someone more obedient. The yellow leaf reveals the result of this policy. The advisors are watching the kingdom fail, but they are staying silent to protect their own jobs. This diagram shows the feedback loop that destroyed the queen's situational awareness. Her ego created fear, which generated false positive reports. She was making decisions based on a version of reality that didn't exist. A bureaucracy paralyzed by fear ends up betraying the state. When advisors prioritize their own job security over the truth, the entire government loses its ability to function. Now that the influences of pride, greed, and fear have been identified and removed, the kingdom's leadership structure is wide open. The root keeper identifies Hannah as the kingdom's essential observer. Her commitment to listening provided a perspective that the council members had ignored for decades. The monarchs offer the throne to Hannah, but she refuses to rule alone. Hannah hands the crown to Teresa, establishing a leadership model based on 2 distinct roles. In this new system, Hannah acts as the auditor who discovers the truth, while Teresa acts as the executor who uses her voice to turn that truth into law. Effective leadership requires two different forces working together: the quiet humility needed to observe the facts, and the bold voice required to act on them.